What's up, everybody? It is Ananka, and welcome to my bazaar. Today, I have a 2C-T-2 trip report for you. The title of this trip report is Not For Me, and was submitted to Erowid in 2001 by the user DXMGod. With all that being said, let our story begin. Yesterday was my first time trying 2C-T-2 alone. The two previous times, I combined it with 2C-T7, both times with 60 milligrams of T7 and 40 milligrams of T2, and had poor experiences. I figured it was probably because I had ingested more than I could handle, and not the T2. I had done T7 many times, and had yet to not have a good time. So I decided to give T2 a go on its own to confirm my suspicions. 1:31. I decided to be fucked up all day Saturday. So the rest of that night, and up through Friday night, I ate at least 3,000 calories, no sweets and very little fat, and drank at least 10 cups of water a day. February 3rd. After getting off work at 7 a.m., I head home to prepare my 30 milligram capsule of T2. I was anticipating a good trip. My mind was very relaxed, and physically I felt great. I downed the capsule at 7:30 a.m. and smoked a couple bowls to further relax, so as not to be anxious while waiting for the effects to kick in. T plus 30 minutes. I am beginning to hear a clicking in my ears. The audio hallucinations have begun. T plus 45 minutes through 1 hour and 10 minutes. I am noticing small, independently colored dots in my field of vision, the movements of which corresponding to the rate and volume of the clicking and the tingling sensation I feel when the dots seem to touch me. 1 hour and 11 minutes through 1.5 hours. The clicking is now turning into a seemingly pre-programmed chant of cackling. Also, the dots are now taking the form of faces resembling that of evil troll-like creatures. The face of the trolls are corresponding to the cackling, and everything seems to be covered in a dark shadow. These shadows morph into people with a skull for a head, reaching for me. I would brush this off. However, their touching is beginning to correspond with the tingling sensation also. I recognize these feelings from my previous T2 uses, and fearing that it will progress too far, I decide to walk to a friend's house, who shall be known as L, for my safety. T plus 2 hours through 13 hours. I arrive at L's and tell him my situation. He agrees to make sure I don't harm myself during the trip. I lie back looking at the ceiling when I begin to see very lifelike images of the trolls from the corners of my eyes. I work up the courage to turn my head to assure myself that it was only a hallucination. But when I look, the image seems to become more real. The cackling nearly engulfs my hearing, and I begin to feel cold. More trolls begin to appear and soon fill my entire vision. Then it hits me. This shit is behaving like some sort of super delirium. At that time, all the trolls jump at me, and I begin to shout for help. It's not that I think that they are actually there, but my body seems to react in a fearing way, no matter how many times I tell myself that it's just a drug that tweaked with senses. In order to stay sane, I decide to close my eyes. This way, I can further convince myself that all that is happening is not existing in my normal reality. only in a wow, this is very realistic dream condition. The trolls then greet me with images of death and pain, and my body reacts by feeling cold whenever they drown me, heat whenever they burn me, or slight cramps whenever they stab me. This cycle is continuous throughout the trip. I then realize I have to piss, which means that I will have to open my eyes and move through the cloud of evil. I sit up and open my eyes, and the room seems completely black. Out of nowhere comes this being resembling an evil me. I stare at it for a second, then it launches at me. I begin to cramp in the places that it kicks and stabs me, so I leap to where L is and beg him to somehow put me to sleep. I then ask if he could take me home so I can use my salvia. I figured that I would take 6 or 7 hits of the 10x extract and either knock myself unconscious or be totally within the salvia world, protected by my salvia guardians. However, at that moment, a troll seemed to grab me and suck out my brains. It then proceeded to try to become one with me, only with the intent of taking over my body. I denied it, so it choked me. I could feel the coldest grip around my throat, so I retreated to a couch and laid on my hands, as to prevent me from causing harm to myself or L. They always seem to kill me in the same order: drowning, burning, stabbing, and eating. All senses still corresponded to their actions. At about 8:30 p.m., I could no longer see the trolls, and the cackling subsided to the clicking. This was the most senselessly frightening event of my life. If I had seen other bad visions, or even if the trolls did something other than the pre-programmed routine, I would consider trying this drug again. But this is the 3rd time that I used this drug, and each time gave me exactly the same results. I think that the emotional and mental boost of T7 on the previous trips was the only reason why I didn't freak out those times. I tried to understand why they were behaving in such a way. Maybe they were tortured souls themselves and saw me as a way to explore my reality. Or maybe it may have been them showing the evil within me. These reasons don't explain their attitudes, nor my consistent trip experiences. February 4th. At 1 a.m., I returned to my house to flush the chemical down the toilet. I will not touch this chemical for at least another year. Maybe the trolls will have a new routine, for although I have a very strong dislike for it, I did learn some invaluable trip survival and sitter skills. I am not discouraging the use of this chemical. Chances are very likely you won't have a bad experience, but always be prepared for anything and use a sitter. Alright, everybody. That is the end of our story. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, as it really does help my channel grow. And if you would like to hear more stories like this one, check out the other videos and playlists on my channel. I will see you guys in the next one. Deuces.